Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're having another little extra special show today. We're just going to have an open conversation with another two people that I found from TikTok here. We're just going to be talking about the state of our country. I've got some new little headlines that I want to hit up today that have just kind of happened here recently. Kind of goes into the point of what we will be talking about as well. But before we get into this and I introduce everybody, I need you to smash that like button, share the show with your friends so we can start gaining a base and start getting in touch with more people like you. This is why we are here. We want to talk to people like you to get an understanding of how you feel, what you believe, and the reasons behind them. But go ahead, smash the like button, share the show so we can get that going. As of right now, like I said, I've got two other creators with me as well. The first one, Travis from Flip the Script podcast. Travis, how you doing, man?
Doing outstanding.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I was in the Marine Corps 4 years. Went to Iraq 2007, 2008. After that, then I got into law enforcement, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And then after this whole debacle with the state of our country, with the elections, I'm watching the news and I see that it's all corrupt and all nonsense. And I was like, you know what? I got a lot of stuff to say about all this. So I started doing my podcast and started making videos, and that's about it.
Hell yeah, man. As long as you got something to say, speak up. We need all the voices we can talking right now, though. Yeah. But we also have Dr. Root back with us. Root, how you doing tonight?
Very well. Thank you.
All right. So we were talking about the state of our country. I do want to get into these little stories before we actually really kick off this conversation because, like I said, it's going to play into, the feelings of everybody here. But I do want to go ahead and I'm going to bring up this first one here. Apparently, Georgia Guidestones down in Georgia, apparently they were bombed. Now, it says an explosion Wednesday at a mysterious Georgia Guidestones, Elberton, Georgia, has caused significant damage to the stones. The preliminary information indicates that someone detonated an explosive device around 4 a.m. on Wednesday, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. GBI officials said officials with the Elbert County Sheriff's Office found that the explosion destroyed a large portion of the structure. Elbert County Sheriff's Office asked GBI to assist in the investigation. The Guidestones sit on a site 7 miles north of Elberton in Georgia, Highway 77, and often referred to as the American Stonehenge. Again, we'll go into the Georgia Guidestones because not a lot of people do know these things exist. Basically, what they are is it was set up during the around the Cold War on June of 1979. Robert Christensen approached Elbert Granite Finish Company. Okay, that's just the entire history. But they were set up around the end of the Cold War, just in case a nuclear annihilation were to happen, or annihilation of the human race for whatever reason were to happen. These were the Guidestones to kind of restart humanity. And it is a little bit curious as to why this has happened, because right here in the photo, In 2008, the stones were defaced with polyurethane paint and graffiti with slogans such as "Death to the New World Order" and the first serious act of vandalism in the Guidestones history. Basically, why that came up is, some of the inscriptions on it kind of seem like a little bit eugenic, and it does fit with the New World Order's kind of theory about keeping the population at 500 million people, unite humanity under one single religion. Tribes can have their government, but all the tribes go through a single government themselves, kind of thing. It's kind of like it does fit under the New World Order kind of theory. See, that's unite humanity with a living new language. I don't even know what that means. Like in a language that everybody uses, no matter what, maybe. And it just changes as kind of like culture hits things. I don't know what exactly that means. Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. I do agree with that, though. Let all nations rule internally, revolving external disputes in a world court. That's where the whole one world government kind of comes into play. It would stop wars, but I don't know if I want a court deciding everything for every single person on Earth. Let all nations avoid petty laws and useless officials. Hell, I agree with that. Everybody agrees with that. There should be no reason I shouldn't be able to put an ice cream cone in my back pocket on a Sunday here in Alabama. All right. I shouldn't be arrested for doing that if I decide to. Balance personal rights with social duties. That sounds kind of communistic.
Yeah.
Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I get what they're saying, but that kind of seems like a cult mentality kind of situation at that point. But I get it. Be not a cancer on earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature. I mean, humankind has become a cancer to this planet, but damn it, how do we evolve if we can't get past 500 million people and we can't do anything, you know? But yeah, that's exactly what that's for. The whole point of those Georgia Guidestones, like I said, was it was a path to guiding humanity back after pretty much a damn near extinction level event has occurred. But somebody bombed that at 4 a.m. actually this morning. Now, here's my question. I want you all to look at my screen here real quick. If this was a bomb, as they were saying in some of these, where is it? Skyforce, where is the... He said he lives about a mile behind the Guidestones and didn't hear anything unusual. However, some people live a little close, said they heard and felt an explosion about 4 a.m. The viewer who took the picture said she lives about 5 miles away and heard a bang at 4 a.m. Said she went back to bed, and when she woke up, she saw a Facebook post about an incident about the Guidestones. One person posted on social media that they heard a boom and that shook the house. Another post thought it was thunder and it shook the house. I mean, these people are talking about an explosion big enough to rock their house living so close, right? From these pictures that we see, now they're not really that close or anything, but an explosion of that nature, where is the debris or any kind of like dust and debris from the explosion itself on these rocks? And where is the burn?
It doesn't look like there was an actual explosion at all. It looks like somebody took a sledgehammer to it, really.
Well, see, from the picture here, I mean, this big rubble spot right here, it looks like something actually blew through it from the path it takes. Oh, wait, let me go back to this so you guys can see it too. I had my camera on fully. My bad on switching that. But there are no burn marks on here. It looks like something actually smashed through it from the way the rocks just like spread outward from it. Yeah. It looks like something went through that thing. There's no burn marks from an explosion or anything like that. You would see some kind of soot if that was an explosion to rock people's houses. Something's off about that.
There would also be marks on the other stones. I don't see any type of marks on any of the other stones. There'd be some type of like projectile indents in there. Right.
You'd probably find something, especially with right here. I know it's a little pixelated, but right here in the background, you see, let me go back to that. Right here in the background, you see that stone in the far back does have some damage on it. But that's probably from like rock smacking into it, you know?
Possibly.
I don't know. Yeah, you guys can see my arrow or my pointer. It's not showing up on screen. But yeah, that looks like it could be some damage from another rock. But what really gets me, though, like I said, is that looks like something went through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any real burn marks around it. Just the way the rocks are laid out, splayed out like that from an impact that happened and spread out. That does not look like an explosion to me. I'm not an expert.
It's going in one way.
Right. And it's
It
all
almost
leaning
looks like
that
it was
way.
hit by a wrecking ball, but there's no tracks that would be left for a piece of equipment that size. And if it was anything mechanical that hit it, you would obviously have debris
Right.
from whatever that was. And I don't see that either. That's weird.
Well, see, here's this thing, and I know this is conspiracy theory bullshit, of course. But just around the time that this happened here, they did turn on CERN. And that's why I said I was willing to talk about that as, when you brought it up there, Root. Just around that time, they did turn on CERN. Now, if something happened, like, I don't know, I haven't looked up into what happened with that today or anything like that, or what they found. If something were to happen, there would probably be more damage if, like, a particle had gotten out and traveled across the world that quickly, There would be more damage in the path of that whatever particle. So I don't think that would be it. It would be interesting because there is this theory that, there are different dimensions that are like pieces of paper that kind of float on top of each other that don't touch. And they wave like an ocean, right? So once in a while, they'll dip and smack each other. People within those dimensions would be displaced and they wouldn't even know it. They wouldn't even feel it. Nothing would change. They just kind of like the Mandela effect. Kind of explains the Mandela effect,
And not only that, but especially when you're looking at quantum mechanics, they have particles that they observe in two places at one time.
Right.
So, I mean, that could, who knows? But my take on this whole thing is that nobody really knew, not too many people knew about these stones to begin with. Now everybody knows about them. And now everybody's reading up on them. Right. And everybody's reading what's inscribed on them. So, I don't know. I don't put anything past, false flags and trying to create distractions and to get their agenda and get their movement spread. This is one way that it could. I wouldn't be surprised if this was an inside job.
Root, what do you think?
I could definitely see what's the flip side of the coin too, though. Is I could see everything you just said being correct, but I could also see, like, maybe some necks in Georgia kind of got upset over the Biden's comments about giving up our sovereignty and being like, you know what, take this, not on my watch.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's extremely possible too.
I mean, definitely, I could see that happening as well. But like I said, I don't think this was an explosion type situation.
It's almost like, did it fall over?
No, it couldn't have fallen over. I mean, if you look at the picture there, that just like, it blew out from somewhere near the ground. The big pieces fell down and all the little pieces spread out. So something hit it. Whether it went through or anything like that, like if it were a wrecking ball or something like that, you'd see some of the stones as the ball swung back. You would see some of the stones kind of pull out from that area. But it looks like something went completely through this. Let me bring that up for you guys as well. But it looked like something just went completely through it and nothing came back from the back end,
Yeah.
Because if anything pulled away from it as it was crumbling down, it would pull those rocks in that direction wherever it came from. But the rocks just drop straight down. The bigger rocks drop straight down and everything just explodes out from it in one direction. So, I don't know. I mean, it's just weird to see that. But I do see Root's kind of point there. And, he does make a good point about, somebody just getting mad. But how the hell did they do that from just a regular person?
You ever met a redneck from Georgia?
I mean, I live in Alabama, so I'm close enough. But I'm just wondering, was that like fertilizer bombs or some shit?
I don't know.
Did they say if there was anything left behind, any type of explosive that they could tell what it was? Or what
No.
kind of explosive was used?
Let's see. Go to the bottom here. One person. It just goes on to the Florida. No, they don't say anything about it. They just say an explosive. But
Yeah,
I don't
that's
see.
weird too.
I don't see any burn marks. I don't see any residue or from anything on it. I don't see any of it from what they're saying. And I'm sorry. I'm fucking up the cameras tonight, guys. But no, it just says there's an explosion on it. And yeah, but from the way it looks, it just doesn't sit right with me. Okay. But yeah, there was that. I also wanted to bring up for you guys another thing that's really, really going to kind of roll into what we're talking about here today. Americans are less confident in major U.S. institutions than they were a year ago, with significant declines for 11 of the 16 institutions tested, no improvements for any. The largest decline in confidence is about 11 percentage points for the Supreme Court and reported in late June, which is when you're reporting in late June right there, everybody's pissed because of the Roe versus Wade situation.
Mm-hmm.
Before the court issued controversial rulings on gun laws and abortion at 15 points for the president. They say before, but we had that leak. We knew what was happening. You know, the rulings themselves had they're not been a leak for the rulings. I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court would have been higher. But they had that leak that was out.
It left leaning? This poll, was it left leaning? Because it seems like conservatives would have a more favorable view of Supreme Court at this point.
Well, I mean, at this point, yes. But no, this comes just from Gallup themselves. For that, I'm fucking up the cameras and reading the article at the same time. But no, this just comes from Gallup as far as that goes. But the highest on the list is small businesses. Small businesses only lost 2 points from last year. Here's the big thing, though. Congress last year was at 12%. Now they're at 7%. Television news was at 16%. It's now at 11%. Our justice system only took 6 points of damage. Newspapers, 5 points. Which, I mean, I tend to believe newspapers locally before I believe anything else, you know? The presidency at 15 points. Look, this is in 2021 when Biden had just took office. He wasn't there that long. And he was at 38. He's at 23 now. This has absolutely nothing to do with Trump as a whole. Because if that were the thing, the presidency in 2021 being at 38 would have been Trump altogether. That would have been him and what Biden has done at that point in time. Everybody's going to be pissed because they thought the president was a racist, fascist. He was going to destroy our country, this, and still sat at 38 from Gallup. Yeah, that's pretty good. But to lose 15 fucking points in 1 year? I mean, come on, Flip. Tell me about this.
I mean, anybody that's watching could tell that Biden is not in control of anything. He's a shell, right? So he's like a puppet, and they just parade him around. He has no idea what's going on. So I mean, I'm actually surprised that it's at 23. I would think it would be a lot lower than that.
Well, okay. So as the polls go, I mean, they are kind of weighted heavy. No matter what poll you look at, that's like Doctor was actually mentioning. No matter what poll you look at, they're weighted heavy. I mean, these are like most polls like you see, right, and what people share on the internet or things like that. It's like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people in large Democratic cities. And if they're still polling low on something like the president or something like that, they're in large Democratic cities, mostly probably going after Democrats because Republicans want to be left the fuck alone in public. You know, right. If you come up or call somebody and, I'm just from this Census Bureau, which I've never even gotten. I've never had myself. But if they call you
I've
up,
never been polled, ever.
Right. Doc, have you been polled?
I have actually been polled. I've been polled twice. I was polled during Obama's presidency, and then I was polled after COVID, for COVID.
Wow.
Okay. So, I mean, you get how it works then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there again, I'm actually a resident of Myrtle Beach.
Oh, yeah. So you're definitely in a bigger city. Like the biggest city I've got around me, as far as that goes, the biggest one I have is Birmingham and then Atlanta. Oh, I got Nashville like a hour and a half away, 2 hours away, something like that. But yeah, it's, for me, that's, I'm never going to get polled myself unless you reach a bigger audience, but it's a small fraction of the country as a whole that they take this from, and usually it's democratic cities where they're more likely to be democratic leaning. So, it's weighted heavily to the left as far as how they poll. So when coming into this, let's say Gallup's the same way. I don't know exactly how Gallup does theirs. I didn't look into to see the exact numbers or anything that they used for this. But keeping with that same thinking, even in 2021, like I said, you're coming off of Trump. He's at 38, right? Biden's sitting at 38 because he's starting to come off of Trump and executive orders are kicking in right around that time, shit like that, right? And he's still at 38. In the same year, he loses 15 points down to 25. He's at a quarter of even Democrats saying, you're doing something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, at the same
Joe
point,
Biden's approval. Go ahead.
Well, I was just fixing to say that there's a lot of Democratic politicians that are distancing themselves from Biden and telling him, no, we do not want you endorsing our campaign.
Correct.
And this kind of reflects that a little bit.
More reflects it, but yeah.
I was going to say that Joe Biden's approval rating is lower than Donald Trump's was right after January 6th. And that's Joe Biden's almost
Good
2
point.
years in.
Good point. Yes, you are right. I mean, he's polling lower than Trump after January 6th, when January 6th happened. Oh my God.
That's
Even
crazy.
by Democrats. Okay. Let's go back.
That was the one point in his presidency where Republicans, parts of the Republicans were like, whoa, wait a minute, fella.
Right. All right. Let's go back here for a second. The U.S. Supreme Court, they took an 11% hit, which we did go over that. See, public schools went down 4 points. Large tech companies, I don't know how, after all the censorship issues and everything that's Twitter's just now being found out about, but they only lost 3 points. After everything that they were screaming and everything, they lost 3 points from Democratic run areas.
So I'm wondering if the people that participated in this poll, when they think of big tech companies, if they're thinking of social media companies like Twitter and Facebook, they may be thinking of companies like Apple, Well,
okay, from things like that, they would... Coming from being a left-leaning person myself, not really paying attention to anything, up until, roughly around 2017 is when I started getting politically active and looking at things, paying attention to that part. But going back that far, if you would say big tech company to me before I paid attention, I see your point. But from everything that's been mentioned, especially with Trump being kicked off Twitter, the Joe Rogan thing, anybody that mentions big tech at this point, who even pays half of a brain cell of attention, knows what they're talking about at that point, But yeah, I mean, from if somebody who's not paying attention or anything, they just vote blue for whatever reason, and they still lose 3 points. I mean, that tells a lot, though.
Well, when you said it, I mean, the first thing that came to mind, word association, was Elon.
Whoa. Okay. Hold up. Explain why.
Well, just the whole Twitter thing, and just the avenues he's taken, and the fight he's fighting. You know what I mean? And what was the company that stepped in and tried to stop the Twitter buyout, the investment firm group?
Oh,
He just,
yeah.
that's kind of where my mind went. I mean, I'm still trying to rationalize it all, look at it all, but that is
Vanguard.
the direction I went.
Vanguard, right?
Yeah, Vanguard and BlackRock. And,
Vanguard.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
buying up all the homes and everything at exorbitant amount of prices. And that'll play into what our conversation will be after we get out of that, too. But yes, good point to bring up with that. Okay. So let's go back here. Now, our bank system took a hit at a -6. Of course it's going to, because, our don't fuck with our money. The first person we're going to blame is the bank. So I get that. I understand that. Organized labor did not move. Like our unions and things like that. That didn't move at all. Public schools took 4 points of a hit because of all the trans and grooming and everything that's been going on with that. Our medical system, of course, organized religion took a hit too because of the stances being shut down, things like that. The medical system itself took 6 points of a hit. Now that surprises me. Our medical system took 6 points of a hit even during COVID. Okay. In 2021, they were sitting at 44. They're sitting at 38 now. Our medical system took a hit. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think that what social media is doing, because I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but there are a lot of videos on TikTok where nurses would be like, I just lost a patient. And they got their camera framed so perfectly. They're setting it up. They have to make sure it's framed right. Then they got to take the time of actually typing those things on screen, setting the duration of all that, just to, even if you do it quickly, it's still a 2, 3, 4 minute process to create a 1 minute video, or even something shorter, of just like,
Not only that, but also during COVID, once the vaccine came out and all the propaganda that was used to try to push the vaccine, you'd have these doctors or nurses talking about how their patient was dying from COVID and he was begging to have the vaccine. And then they're like, oh, it's too late. I can't help you. I doubt any of that even happened, but that's the propaganda they were putting out. So people see that, and, of course their approval is going to go down. Confidence is going to go down on that.
Well, okay. So when I started seeing that shit, it was pushed that hospitals are full. There are some, even in my closest cities, Alabama, Huntsville, or our Huntsville hospital system, the main hospital for them, they were full. Nashville was full. The surrounding counties around that were starting to get some overfill from Huntsville. But these hospitals were shut down. I mean, they were ghost towns. I pulled network and security cables for, businesses coming up in the area and things like that, or just service work, things like that. I worked in these hospitals. These hospitals were empty. Lights were off. Wings were shut down. We actually had to get people to come and unlock doors for us in a hospital that's supposed to be packed.
Yeah.
But yet when you turn on things like TikTok, or you turn on things like Twitter, who pull these little videos, people make little pictures and look how cute I am, I'm a nurse. These motherfuckers, in the height of that, are dancing, choreographed dancing on these videos. So I see a big hit on that. You're supposed to be working your ass off. We're praising you as heroes, and you're making little dance videos with choreography and lip syncing in some of them. You've got the time to do all that when your hospitals are fucking packed?
Yeah.
What you got to say on that, Doc?
Well, I would say there was, and this is just me, like more and more information, as time goes, always, more and more information was coming out, and you got to examine states that did things differently and there's a vast difference between, say, New York and South Dakota. That didn't even shut down at all.
Right.
They didn't even establish what was essential at all. So you got to examine all of that. And then one of the biggest red flags for the entire thing for me, and it may be just me, but when Pfizer decided to release their documents on everything,
they had to
after the Will Smith Chris Rock slap.
No. They had to actually release that. That was a thing. It was a freedom of information request. My video on it was actually pulled down because I started talking about some of the things that were
all ready to come out. Then I thought they just happened to release it at that time. I didn't realize they were needing to release it.
Yeah, they were forced to. It was a freedom of information request that they had to do that, and that is at phmpt.org. I can actually say that because it's not medical misinformation. It's a fucking website. Go fuck yourself, YouTube. But yeah, I had an episode pulled down because labeled medical misinformation because I went through some of the documents, some of the stats on there, and they pulled it down for medical misinformation.
Those are the documents that they didn't want to release for 70 years?
Yep. They wanted to release them, what was it, 5, 10, 15, 25 pages at a time over the next 55 to 70 years, something like that. But
right,
yeah.
And they dropped them all at the same time.
Because they had to from a freedom of information request. Now, nobody, and there are very few people that I've ever been involved with, and it's actually how I came across it, you know. I've just now started to interact with Root and Travis here, but some of the people that I interacted with on TikTok found this, and I looked into it. I'm not going to say any more. I'm not going to get it pulled down. Y'all need to take a look at that. Especially, you go in there, you click Pfizer Docs, search for 5.3.6 post-market. Just read. But yeah.
Will do.
It's not as bad as everybody plays it out to be as far as like conspiracy theories, but it has its roots and people need to start paying attention. I will leave it at that, and that'll be it. But yeah, as far as that goes, I can. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, I want to point this out. Our police system. This is embarrassing as shit. It really is. Now, through 2020, we saw, BLM, fuck the police, Antifa out there rioting, police doing nothing. The Kyle Rittenhouse situation where he had to go through all that, and he ran to the police who did nothing but watch it all happen. The attacks that we've seen on police and everything like that, all through 2020. Now, in 2021, the police were sitting at a 51. In 2022, they are sitting at a 45. Now, this was done in the June, all through the month of June. These polls were taken. Uvalde already happened. Okay.
That was huge for the police. That was a huge negative for the police. Uvalde was.
It was, yep. and that's the point. That's why I wanted to bring that up. Now, Uvalde had happened at that point, and they only dropped 6 points. 6 points on that. Okay, and I guarantee you that was the biggest drop on that. You know what this tells me? Throughout all of 2020 and everything, even 2021 or 2021. The shit where they were just arresting people that didn't have a vaccine passport in some big cities, especially in New York. The things that went down all across the country where everybody's just like, fuck the police, fuck the police. The one that just happened, Jalen Walker, I don't think was involved in this, because if it's from June 1st to June 20th, then, that just happened at the end of the month, beginning of this month. So I don't think Jalen Walker was included in this poll, but it's still fucking high. that's what I want to point out on this whole thing. And in 2021, coming off of the whole George Floyd riots and everything that they did, they were sitting at a 51. Uvalde play all these school shootings and everything that's been happening. They're still sitting at a 45. Now, the whole ACAB and everything like that, fuck the police. What this tells me is most of the people didn't buy into that shit. They really didn't. Yeah. And I want to get your take on this, Travis, here. All of that included, everything that I just said. And they only took 6 points off?
This is good because we're going to come from two totally different. I heard you say you were a police officer in the Marine Corps and stuff like that. Well, I actually served 7.5 years in South Carolina Department of Corrections and got my pardon in 2012. So we're going to be from both ends of the spectrum on this one. But yeah, go ahead. Let me hear what you got first.
You know what? Hold up. I didn't even think about that. Now, I know, speaking with Doctor before, I knew about what happened with him. I did not make that connection until just now that you're a cop. But no. All right, let's get your take on this here.
So I'm not really sure why it's that high. I'm actually surprised it is. But if it were to get any lower, then I think we're going to be running into some serious problems. And actually, with all of these different institutions that are like the Supreme Court, if we were to go any lower, then we're going to start looking at some real problems in this country because, like, we already have some of these states that didn't agree with the Supreme Court's decision on the Second Amendment, right?
Right.
So, like, New York, for example, they're pretty much saying we don't care, right? So now you have certain states that are not going to follow the Supreme Court. And then how far does that go? To where the only, like, our Constitution and our laws are only as good as the people that enforce them. So if they're not being enforced, they're basically useless.
Right.
When confidence in these institutions goes down, then people stop. They stop obeying. They stop listening. They stop paying attention. Right. So then, if the confidence in the police starts going down into the 15s and 10s, then I think our country is going to be looking at possibly a civil war.
Yeah, but all right.
Some sort of anarchy for sure.
Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, with that is included in everything that I've seen on TikTok and heard about it from like independent media, things like that. Even big tech, there's big media like Washington Post and shit like that. Even they're starting to talk about this now. There was I got the right one. There's a poll out that says like 40% of young Democrats and 40% of young Republicans are okay with political assassinations. You got the left who is overwhelmingly starting to call for war, blaming the right, saying, well, you were doing it before. No, we were just kind of warning you. This is going to happen. You keep up. And now they're calling, oh, well, you wanted civil war first. Let's just get this button fucking pushed. Let's just go. They're calling for it now.
Yeah.
And that scares the hell out of me.
Not only that, there's also
never been in a real fight yelling for a fight. That's going to be a bad deal.
No. But now we're also seeing the two-tier justice system. So I'm actually surprised that the criminal justice system also lost 6 points. 14 is pretty low. But we were seeing political prosecutions, right? And like January 6th, for instance, people are getting, they're being prosecuted because of political ideology. When you had these riots in the summer of 2020 at federal courthouses, we had the riots at the White House when they almost breached the fence and they set the guard shack on fire, the Secret Service guard shack on fire. Well, what happened with that? There was no investigation in that. There's no, if there was
the
arrests,
church across the
people
street.
were getting,
the church across the street was actually set on fire by them because they couldn't get to the White House. Yes.
So January 6th happens after all of this, right? And we just went through a whole summer of all these riots and nothing happening, and actual Democrat governors and mayors actually like supporting it. Democrat politicians supporting it. You have the current vice president making bail funds for these rioters in New York, in Washington State, all over the place.
Portland.
So why would the January 6th rioters, why would they think that anything would happen?
Good point. Damn good point. You know, there's a lot behind January 6th, a lot of theories and everything like that. The fact that they were led into the building on one side, all the violence and everything actually happened on the other.
It was definitely set up. Like the people that breached the Capitol and the first ones, I think that this was all planned. Like they hung giant flags from the Capitol. Nobody's going to a protest with giant flags that you're going to hang off side of buildings.
Nope.
So, I mean, it wasn't just something that happened organically. You know, this was whoever was initiated it. This was already planned that they were going to do this. So it wasn't something that there was no incitement at the ellipse and then Trump saying, "Oh, go down to the Capitol," and then it just happened. You know, whoever planned that, it was done in advance, far in advance.
No, and I feel like you are correct, and here's why. Okay, now this came out early under the shit, and nobody wants to talk about this. A lot of independent media keeps bringing this shit up. Okay. When Trump was speaking, like 15 to 20 minutes before he was done, they were already breaching the barricades at the first route. They were already through that before Trump was done speaking. Okay, so now what you want me to believe now is, okay, they're already there. They're pretty much at the fucking door at that point in time. Trump's done speaking. He gets into a car, and because of Cassidy Hutchinson, we know she's fucking lying. Because I don't see fat ass fucking Trump jumping over the seat, grabbing a steering wheel, and trying to reach for a dude's hand like I did.
And trying to choke out the Secret Service agent.
Right.
That's
like I did, for yesterday. Like, he's supposed to be grabbing the wheel this way. Secret Service grabs his arm and says, "Let's go," and he reaches for his throat this way. Or if you do it backwards, this is way too fucking awkward, especially for a fat fuck. I'm sorry. It's not going to fucking happen. Physically, there is no way in an SUV, okay, is what he really left in. You know, the pictures are in him of a limo and things like that. He actually left in an SUV. I get it. Yeah. But he's not jumping over the seat. I mean, think of how fast he would have to jump over that seat to fit in between it with his fat ass. It ain't happening. I'm sorry.
I think with a lot of that, I can definitely, I think we can all agree, as a person, Trump's an ass.
Yes.
And I think that, with like throwing plates or throwing a tantrum in a hallway and stuff I could definitely see that going down. And what they did, they attacking the driver. I don't know if Trump's that stupid. At the same time, I don't know how well orchestrated everything was. I do believe that and I don't want to say like deep state or nothing like that, but I believe that there was a subgroup that was kind of waiting in the wings, waiting for the opportunity. And this thing kind of presented itself, and they took advantage. They took full advantage. Because when you get enough cattle in the same field, all you got to do is slap 3 of them and the whole stampede starts.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think happened. That's what I think happened. But the saddest thing for me watching all of it was the treatment of police in the building. Like, do you back the blue or not? If you're going to, then do it. If you're not, then you're beating a man with a flag. Come on now.
I mean, I get you.
Have that.
I get you. And here's my stance on that whole thing. I know what you're referring to. On one side, they let him in. On the other side, they fought. Okay. The biggest one was Michael Byrd shooting Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah.
Okay. On the side that they fought on, you get what you get, dude. When you meet resistance like that on one side, but yet the other side is able to get in, let in, it's on fucking film that one of the cops said, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I support your right to do this. Open the fucking door and usher them in.
Yeah.
That should have been a fucking clue. On one side or the other. Okay, on one side that's meeting resistance, I get you. I understand. You're thinking this is it. You're all riled the fuck up. You're pushing through. You're going to do something. While the other side is let in, unknowing, to create mass panic. And then the side that's riled up, the ones that are breaking windows and shit, you know, you're getting footage from that. What about the 1,400 hours that Nancy Pelosi hasn't released about that shit? The little things that we get here and there about these people being let in and just walking. That old woman that respected the fucking velvet ropes and walked through that shit, that's not a sign to you?
Right. That's what makes me think that it was actually an organic thing happening, and just there's that mob mentality. You've only got to get a couple people with you, and then things start happening. And now,
well, there definitely was. Yeah, that was definitely part of it. You know, there was definitely people that just jumped in, but these guys hung flags that were probably 50 feet across. Nobody's walking around with a 50-foot flag.
These motherfuckers are scaling walls too. Like, who the fuck does that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get you with that. I definitely reach you with that.
And I think with Babbitt, like, and this is like I said, this is coming from a felon. When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, man. When the cop tells me stop, I stop, because I know this is the best way for me to get through this thing cleanly.
Right.
I don't understand. Once a police officer tells you to stop, cease, resist, like, stop resisting is what you need to do. You need to do what you're told right now. And I'll say this, like, I believe with the police in general, like, there's good cops out there, and I don't believe that every bad cop is racist, but there are definitely assholes. Like, there are definitely little man syndromes and people that got bullied. I think there's people with attitude problems that take that authoritative role just because they can.
I can understand, and I actually agree with that one, yes. But from a cop standpoint, I'd like to get your take on this, Travis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, cops that are like that, but yeah, I think that especially cops that are newer, just a couple years on, trying to prove themselves, they think they have to be a certain way. They think that in order to get compliance, then they have to be like that, but as time goes on, I think that the mentality, it should change as time goes on. Some people don't change, but that's like that in every profession,
People learn to defuse the situation instead of escalate it.
Especially as that comes with experience, that comes with being in situations that don't go well, and then rethinking how could this have gone better, or what could I have done. That's what any sensible person would do, is reevaluate situations that they've been in and maybe they didn't work out the way that you wanted them to. You reevaluate, and then you make your changes. But what I have to say is
it should happen on both sides. I know by the second, third time I was arrested, I learned the point where I needed to shut my mouth.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're dealing with people that a lot of the time that will know how to say certain things and just get under your skin. And if you're not used to dealing with that, if you take that personal, then that could cause an officer to do things that he normally probably wouldn't do, or say something that he probably shouldn't be saying. And you get caught up in the moment. Everybody's human, right? You all have human emotions, and so cops are no different than everybody else.
No, they're not. They're really not. But I'm going to be a little bit rough here. when you sit outside of school and that kid's getting murdered.
Yeah.
What, 44 minutes, all 77 altogether from the chase and everything like that? When that happens, we've got to look bad on you.
One of the mothers was more of a hero. The woman that they put in cuffs and then let out, and she still got out and just snuck off, ran into the school.
Right.
Like she was the hero.
Right.
Well, you know what? I did see footage, and there actually was cops inside, but they weren't going to the shooter.
Yes.
There were cops with long guns inside, and I don't know what they were.
At least one ballistic shield as well.
Right.
So they could have hid behind that and moved to fuck in.
I don't know if it was I mean, obviously it's a leadership problem, right? So whoever was in control of that situation was not in control of it, and nobody stepped up and took any type of leadership and said, hey, we got to go stop this, right? Nobody did that. They were waiting to be told what to do. You know, that's a leadership problem. Apparently the chief that was there didn't even have a radio. So there was no communication. It's really hard to try to understand what was going on there. I can't explain it.
But dude, at some point humanity has to actually kick in, and you gotta go. No matter what, you have to fucking go. You were already in the building. You could have done something. You could have taken him out before 19 fucking children and 2 adults were killed. Stop playing fucking games with humanity. I know I'm going to go on a little rant here. I know damn well we have dehumanized every single individual from the moment of fucking birth, where they're now parasites, apparently. Clump of cells and parasites from the moment of conception. They're a clump of cells of parasites until they are born. And now, do I need to take care of this? Do I want this child? Is this a thing? To where they come up as little kids. Now I got to teach them shit. Now I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Now, I mean, I did get to thinking after we had our little talk last time. I understand where you're coming from now. Because, you know, these people do, like I said, now I got to look after them. Oh, the father's gone. Well, now I got to do this shit alone. Of course, there's going to be some petty shit. No matter what it actually is, no matter the relationship or anything like that, there's pettiness between them. It will always get in the way of the fucking children. The children are now being used as ammunition. Maybe from one side, maybe from both sides. It don't matter. The children are now being...
There's just so many different scenarios where you start creating juvenile delinquents instead of productive members of society.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. But we dehumanize that shit because nobody thinks about the kid. They're always drawn up in the drama between the parents. The kid is pushed to the fucking wayside of that, okay? So now he no longer feels human because he has no connection. You get them into young adults, they're thrown into the fucking world without absolutely any fucking idea about it. And nobody pays attention to the good they do. Nobody pays attention to them catching on and working themselves out. It's always hate online now for whatever you do. Then once you get to be an adult, it's now hate online, hate in person because of your religious standings, your political standings, everything about who you are that makes you who you are now is under attack. And then all of a sudden, they have to figure that shit out because they don't even know who they fucking were as a child. Now they have to figure that shit out, and it's dehumanizing as shit. We've changed our language so much. We've gotten so dumb as a people. This right here is all we fucking care about now. Likes on social media, views, posts. Now we're doing all that shit with nurses and things like that just to get any kind of connection as a human being. Because the people beside us, we've alienated.
A lot of the left, especially the younger generations, like they do see the hypocrisy of that. They do see that, you know, if you're prenatal, you're good. If you're prepubescent, you're fucked. Like, they don't care. And then they see that, and it's like, well, why should we not have an abortion? What are you throwing them from the frying pan to the fire and saying you're saving somebody?
I mean, yeah, that's
I'll
what
go back to my bodily autonomy. I don't care what nobody does.
that's what got me thinking about the whole thing. You know, the whole abortion topic we were talking about before. You know, I did mean it when I said you really got me thinking about it, because you're correct. I mean, these people that cannot raise kids, that should not raise kids, I don't want them not being able to raise another generation of shit fucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got enough C students raising C students around here.
Yes, we definitely do. I don't want,
And that's the best way I can word that.
but here's the thing. I do have to say this. You do have a point with it. I'll allow that argument route, and I'll go on with it. I don't think you should be able to end a life just because you fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
I get
hold
that
on.
too.
You do have a point. Let that be a lesson. They go through that emotional pain. They go through all that. They know about that. But they can't do it again.
And see, there's where I go back, because it is the reality of it all. When you start looking at abortions and who's a multiple offender, basically, you know, and I get so infuriated. It's like, well, do I now impose some sort of dictatorship, some sort of totalitarianism to now, you know, we're going to tie your tubes. We're going to, you know, if you're a guy and you got more than 2 kids on government assistance, we're going to give you a little snip. Do we start enforcing that? And then I take a step back and pause, and I think, you know, if we could really just allow people to give bodily autonomy to anything that is umbilically corded to you, because technically it is a government overreach for a citizen to tell anybody what to do with something that is a non-citizen. It has no paperwork. And while it is corded, it is part of your body. It just is.
I mean,
so I see that it is something different, but at the same time, it is still connected. It is still part of the same. That's why personally, I draw the line at sustainability. Is if the child can be born and get its documents, you know, if it can breathe on its own, you know, somewhere between week 18 and 24, I say we need to put a line right there. Anything after that, in which they generally don't even happen after that. But to bodily autonomy, well, it starts to become a much more smaller percentage, and then it gets into where medical procedures actually take place in later terms too. A lot of that comes into play. But when you look at all of it, I think it's just the best answer for everybody, not even people involved in the birthing process. If you don't want a vaccination, don't get it. If we spent less time letting Uncle Sam worry about what is male or female and just have Uncle Sam worry about what is and isn't a citizen, we'd have a lot less headaches. And I posed a crazy scenario on TikTok, and I know it's far-fetched, but at the same time, it does apply. If a weird bug just bites you and you get some kind of a infection in like a pus, and from withdrawing that pus, we're able to find the cure for cancer. What is keeping the government from farming you at this point to save humanity for the greater good? Nothing, because you do not have bodily autonomy. You are a social security number. You're property of the government.
I mean, shit, a lot of people gave it up for 23andMe for fucking DNA evidence no matter what.
Right. But at the same time, I think that capitalism should take over. And if the bug bit me, I want to sell this thing to cure cancer. I don't want you farming me for it. I'll sell it.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
But I'd have to have my own bodily autonomy to do that.
And then again, how do you know they're not going behind your back and doing that shit anyway?
Well, that's true too.
See, that would be the inlying problem with that is, oh, we're not doing it technically, but yes, we are.
You took a sample and synthetically duplicated it, and then there you go. That's fine with me too. But you're not farming me for it. You're not bringing that bug in. And so you know what? We drew all of that, but we need a little more. We're gonna let this bug bite you one more time and see how that happens.
No. No. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is they draw your blood. They got all your information any damn way. All they have to do is no, we're not actually sending this to anybody else. We're not selling your data or whatever like that. But just like Twitter, just like Facebook, just like big tech, they're doing it in the back end and you don't know about it.
Right.
You go to the doctor and you get blood work and then send it over to LabCorp. Who knows what they do with your blood after that?
Right.
You're correct.
So, I mean, I don't like that idea as a whole. You know, we've seen corruption everywhere in our government and our institutions. Everything that we used to hold sacred, we do see corruption in now. So
that's why, like, the document itself is there not to give us rights, but to limit the government from taking our rights.
right.
And if we don't have an amendment for bodily autonomy, then we don't have it.
You make a fair point. Hold up now, Travis.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. That's something I never really thought about.
See, and I've always looked at it from the pro-choice standpoint. Like, I've been told by many, I'm the only one that really makes a good logical point with the pro-choice thing, is because I don't. Like I said, it all comes back to bodily autonomy. I think this would fix so many of our problems. It would fix so many of our problems if we would just step back and think about it rationally instead of getting emotionally charged in these conversations of abortion or vaccines or whatever, and just step back and go, you know what? We can all kind of agree if we'd meet right here.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, though. Actually, and I want to throw this out there because you just now made me kind of think about this. I don't know if y'all have been paying attention with it, but on TikTok, I have noticed that the men who speak about abortions know more than the women that actually say something to them. Have y'all seen
They've
that?
been forced to do their own research.
What about you, Travis? You seen any of that?
I haven't.
Oh, well, yeah, there are a few people out there that I have seen who actually, like you said, they're forced to do their own research. They go in, they take screenshots. Okay, I'm learning about this right now. Okay, now you're talking about, okay, they're a clump of cells. Most men actually spoke up on that one, and they're just like, no, look, heartbeat, you can tell at 5 weeks. It starts to really show at 6 weeks. You know, there are impulses, neurons in the brain are actually firing at 9 weeks. How can you not call that a life? You know, that actually started with the men that actually spoke up, you know, in the pro-life area. And now you got that. I know y'all have seen that one where it's an original sound of just this shaved head dude. He just screams into the camera. Like, I know you've seen it like a sound bite for everybody now. But it's to all you men, your silence is fucking deafening.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. See, we can tell that's kind of manipulation on that point, because everybody who spoke up about that, especially the men, it's just like, dude, y'all told us to sit the fuck down. Y'all told us to shut the fuck up. And there were a few of us, especially me, who were out there saying, as soon as the leak came out, look, y'all want to have this conversation, let's do it now, because if this happens, it's now everybody's say. It don't matter. My body, my choice does not play into that anymore. That is gone, and you're still stuck on that. It is now up to the states. It is back to the people themselves to get together and say, we need to change this law for us. And you're bitching because they gave you that power to say, you know what? Okay, the government can't tell us. We tell us. That's what the fuck it meant.
Yeah.
And everybody gets
don't.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, they don't want that power, though. They don't want to have to actually do something in Congress. You know, they could. In order to, it's easier for them to have it ruled through the courts than it is to actually get any type of anything passed through both the House and the Senate. Yes. So they'd rather it be decided by a judge.
Yes, because that means you would have to pay the fuck attention.
Was it,
I didn't flip that camera. You were on that entire time. Yeah. Biden, yeah, you gotta pay the fuck attention. This is what it's come down to now. And it's no longer whatever the hell you want to do, you can do. Now you gotta actually start paying for that. You gotta start putting in work to make sure that that lifestyle that you want, no matter what it is, whether it be abortion or you want to be a single income fucking family again, no matter what that is, you got to fight for it. And it starts at the local level. The biggest impact is at the local level. We fight for the fucking presidency every 4 goddamn years. And it's
Right.
it's somewhat close damn near every time. Okay? Every 2 to 6 years, we're fighting over the Congress or the House. All these people that have shown up, all these people that are still there, these people like fucking Nancy Pelosi, who's been there 80 goddamn years. Skeletor is the Speaker of the goddamn House.
Yep.
Look at her district. Look at how she has fucking destroyed that because she don't give a fuck about you. She gives a fuck about keeping that seat. Look what happened in 2020. She made sure she sent out because of COVID, oh, everything, we're going to do it online. You know, it'll be remote. The ones that showed up, even some in fucking Republican standpoints, the ones that showed up and voted were the only ones that fucking counted.
You know that the state senators used to not be direct elections. It used to be the state legislature would choose from the state legislature 2 people to go up to Washington as senators. And then once we started going to direct elections with the senators, of course the state votes on them, but they're allowed to take in donations from out of state.
Yeah,
so you have groups putting donations from, Senator New Jersey's getting a bunch of money from some group out in California, that has nothing to do with their local election. So that's
right.
That changes the game when it comes to the Senate right there.
Well, I do want to. You have a camera right there. You have a good point with that. I might have been off that. No. Okay. You do have a good point with that because, look, my governor is Governor Kay Ivey. All right. The first thing she did was hike our gas prices up 10 cents. Now, this is before the pandemic and everything. Hike our gas tax up by 10 cents per gallon to pay for the roads. Great. Good fucking idea. Here's the problem. That shit sits out there for a year or two if it's a big project like interstate work. Years. Just so they don't have to return any money. Like down 231, 431, they widen it. It's a 2-section road. 2 lanes, 2 sections. For most of it. From where I grew up. Okay. They were widening each side 6 inches to make the road a little bit wider. That shit took 6 fucking years. For 15 miles?
Yeah.
Every time I rode by that shit, nobody was there or they had their feet kicked up. And then all of a sudden, all the big equipment's moved out of the fucking way, but you still have those cones for fucking ever. They just sit there. And come to find out, they do that because they bid on it and say, okay, well, this will be $5 million for 2 years. Okay, here you go. And they get that shit 90% fucking done in 5, 6, 7 months. That shit sits out there. As long as it is unpainted and there are traffic cones, that shit can sit as long as they fucking need to. Even if it's complete.
Wow.
Yes. So that shit goes on. Okay. She hikes our gas prices up by 10 cents. At the beginning of before the beginning of the pandemic. This is Governor Meemaw. We call her Governor Meemaw. If you want to look it up, apparently it's some kind of slur against her now. Whatever. I don't give a shit. It started because she was a grandma. She talked to everybody like she was, their grandma. That's how it actually fucking started. But, Yeah, she hikes her gas prices up. This shit sits out there for fucking ever. You know, they're complete. All they have to do is just paint it and remove the damn cones. This shit sits the fuck out there. And, you know, until it's time to release, because they don't want to give any of the extra money back if the job is done quickly and before the time limit. She knows this is going on, yet here we are with high ass fucking gas prices that she knew were gonna fucking happen in the first damn place and did nothing to help us to soften the blow. Yes, here in Alabama we have some of the lowest gas prices.
What's the price over there right now?
The lowest I saw was $4.19. But it's still fucking insane. It takes me 100. I travel maybe 45 miles a day at most, going back and forth to work. I use a company car when I'm at work. I travel maybe 45 miles a day. What used to take me at least a whole week to run on, even with the weekend, I don't leave the house much, but what used to take me a whole week before I ran out, for some reason, now takes me 7 days on the same amount. Or I'm sorry, now takes me 5 days on the same amount of fuel, the same amount of money per gallon that I used to use.
They're probably mixing the fuel with something else, which is not giving that good of gas mileage now. Yeah, gas is about $5 by me. It's almost $6 if you're using premium. But back in 2017, 2018 is when we saw gas prices get really low over here. I mean, I'm in Jersey, and I think the lowest that I saw it was like $1.64 at Costco. So our government in New Jersey, our politicians, they decided to give us a 23 cent tax on gasoline per gallon.
Damn.
Since gas prices went so low, they're like, oh, we can make some money on this. You know, it's not going to hurt them too bad because gas is so low. And now we're in a situation where gas is at $5 a gallon. We got this $23 gas tax on here. And even if they took that off, it wouldn't really make a difference. But, you know, it'd be a couple bucks. But
well, right before gas prices shot up, South Carolina raised the gas tax to 26 cents.
Wow.
See, they knew. Hold up. They fucking knew.
I'll say with a lot of what you were saying about the political assassinations, I don't condone that at all. I don't think that's a good thing. I will say that a lot of younger kids are looking at, like, since 1938, 1942, somewhere right in there, Strom Thurmond won South Carolina's senator seat. Since then, we've had Strom Thurmond and Lindsey Graham. I can find 100 Republicans that absolutely hate Lindsey. I can't find one that'll vote against him because it means voting for a Democrat in the election. It's hard to put much faith into a government like that when you can't get rid of these people.
Lindsey Graham is
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most famous rhino of them all now that McCain's gone. I mean, he's just it's so disheartening to see year after year, people, like I said, he does so many things that we really hate as a party, as a state, that it's like, why do you keep voting for him? Well, it beats voting for a Democrat. Are you sure? I mean, are you absolutely sure? Because he does vote in favor of them most of the time. I mean, he was one of the gun control legislation that passed. He's one of the ones that voted for it. Like, are you sure?
Well,
I used to see Lindsey Graham on Hannity when the whole Russiagate nonsense was going on, and all he kept on talking about was, oh, we're gonna have investigations, we're gonna do this, and none of it ever happened. None of it ever came to fruition. It was just all talk. All he does is talk, tells you what you want to hear, and that doesn't put any action behind it.
Right.
But he doesn't really care because you're going to vote for him again. What are you going to do? Vote
Right.
Democrat?
Right.
Well, see, here's the thing with Lindsey Graham that really got me, is all through the COVID shit. Like he's speaking up against Democrats kind of thing, and literally didn't he run his mouth about Nancy Pelosi and then give her a fist bump as he walked by or some shit? Y'all remember something about that?
Who was that?
Lindsey Graham, like it was during the COVID situation where he was coming down about some COVID shit. And then, after his speech, he was walking by and he like fist bumped, I think it was like AOC or.
I did see something like that. Yeah. I did see something like that.
You remember that?
I know Mike Pence.
When I see him on TV, I say a bunch of things you can't even say on YouTube, and I just turn the channel. I can't stand listening to him anymore.
Yeah. But
yeah, Mike Pence gave a elbow bump to Nancy Pelosi after January 6th too.
I saw that too. I did see that.
Yeah, it's there is a lot of shitty shit that goes on in the government like that, and it's literally it's because nobody reads past the headlines anymore. Nobody follows up with anything. That's that point. As soon as somebody says something to them that they agree with, they latch onto that and they'll never move past that point, no matter what anybody says or what article or how they frame it in any way. Nobody's going to get past that point because they're not paying attention.
On the news media coming out,
paying attention because I can say, like it's in South Carolina, a lot of younger people. And of course, a lot of older Republicans, especially, they just write them off where they're dumb, they're not paying attention, this, that, and the other. And it's like, with the abortion thing, you got a state that's going to eliminate most abortions, right? Not talking about ectopic and medical reason and this, that,
God,
not
no.
those.
Because those don't even really fucking count. They're only just saying spontaneous abortion to write it down that way.
Right. So in all the R's and the SA's and I's and all that, not including any of those, but the other group of abortions that happen, right? And I've analyzed the numbers for DHEC and CDC for my state, and a lot of young people see it firsthand that South Carolina is going to eliminate, abortions on that hand, and then at the same time, we're always in favor of cutting government assistance. But if we eliminate the abortions, we will, and you can prove it with statistics on it all, add between 2,500 and 5,000 kids annually to poverty. In a state that is 43rd in education with 98% of its classrooms overcrowded, you wonder, the kids aren't paying attention. No, they see it firsthand. That's why they hate you so much. They have no faith in the Republican Party because you obviously don't care. You're cutting them off on both ends and then saying, "Oh, you should love us for it." No.
I mean, and this is actually why, we were talking about this before. This is actually why I said I really enjoyed that conversation, and you did get me thinking.
Well, you got to be careful with this train of thought because you'll get accused of eugenics, and I'm just analyzing numbers,
Well, I mean, with just that, like I was saying at the beginning, we had talked about this before, that just one kind of situation, like a genie wish, just one is all you fucking get. How would that work out, though?
Do I get the wish? Bodily autonomy. Yes, sir.
But until a point becomes a racket?
Well, I don't know if it is the racket or if it ends the racket. I always leave it open to the possibilities because we all, like I said, we get so emotionally invested in these conversations. And I always like to kind of take a step back a little bit and just analyze the third person.
Right.
There are women out there that actually, they have the abortion and it makes them more self-aware, more conscious of their behavior. And it is the growing experience. They had to touch the eye to see that it was hot. Now they don't go near their stove anymore.
That's the thing. It's not an easy decision by any means
No.
for a woman to go through that. That's like, it's probably the worst decision that they're probably have to make at that current time of their life. And it's not an easy thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than, it's not black and white.
Right, and then they go on social media, they go on these places, and they talk to these conservatives, and what do conservatives tell them? Oh, well, if you wasn't doing that, you wouldn't get that. Keep your legs closed, and they start demonizing the train of thought. Now you're shutting down critical thinking because of your own personal feelings, and then you're calling them snowflakes. That's not right. That doesn't help the situation.
Yeah, that's not the way to bring somebody over to your point of view. It's not the way.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Well, okay. With that included, there has been a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that. Even with dealing with social media, me being a little small time streamer, things like that. I had a good little Facebook account before it got shut down. I can say from speaking with a lot of people, especially through social media and things like that, and gaming on Twitch, you do kind of build up a base of people if they watch you because you're interesting. Speaking with these kinds of people, this is kind of how I wanted this show to actually start up with. But speaking to these kinds of people, you actually do get a broad range. And when we have these conversations like we're having right now, I'm going to admit this was a scheduling error on my part. Okay. Because it was just supposed to be me and Travis. Okay. And then I popped a few links into Discord and Punky reacted. And he's like, all right, well, hold up. What about? And I just was like, okay. So it'd be kind of interesting to get his point of view and your point of view together. Right. I didn't make the connection that you're a cop and, he's had trouble with the law. I've had trouble with the fucking law. I didn't make that connection until he pointed it out. But yeah, this has been fucking wonderful. I like this conversation going on with you guys.
Yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I'm glad it's me and not some other fella. I'll just be.
No. If it was somebody else, like there was a reason why I actually was just like, all right, last minute, you want to jump in. It was because, through Travis's content, things like that. I feel like I didn't know he was a cop. Like I said, I didn't mean, I didn't mean to make that thing. But yeah, I love this conversation from both points of view at this point. I really do, because this is awesome from, not to bring it up, but a cop and somebody who's been in trouble with the law a good bit. The conservative versus a middle left leaning, right leaning issue pretty much walks the fucking line to kind of the only reason I consider myself conservative type is just because these motherfuckers went so left, which is where I actually put Root at as well. Like, dude, Root, have you ever changed your viewpoints throughout everything?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Muhammad Ali said a man that views the world the same at 40 as he did at 20 wasted 20 years of his life.
Right.
Definitely. I mean, I was very liberal when I was getting in a lot of trouble. I was very liberal. But, over time, I'm more socially liberal and physically conservative. And when it comes to the hand of the law, I feel like we need to stay as close to the Constitution as we can. That's why a lot of people tell me I'm a libertarian. Some people tell me I'm a constitutionalist. And as long as you're calling me one of those, I'm fine with it. Because it lets me know I'm more in the center of that.
You have a point, and you are literally trying to line up as center as possible, which is where a lot of us do lie. I'm fucked up the cameras again. Which is where a lot of us actually do lie. We can come to an agreement when we actually do start to sit down and start talking to each other. We can come to an agreement on things. Like, Root has changed my mind. Hearing Travis's end from like a police standpoint, even though he hasn't spoke up a lot, But just like even from hearing him from a police standpoint, we got a good mixture going. I like this.
You know, like law enforcement, in my view, is in a lot of trouble nowadays. We have a lot of George Soros backed attorney generals, prosecutors being put into office, and to me, it's causing a lot of damage. It's causing a lot of damage for law enforcement. It's causing a lot of damage for the community. Now, from what I observed during COVID, and there's a lot of stuff that I saw that I can't get behind, and I can't justify it, and I can't sit here and say that, you know, what some cops did was justified. You know, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And if you're enforcing unconstitutional laws,
right,
I can't support that. I can't support that at all. And, you know,
and neither do I.
I'm happy with the way the Supreme Court came down with the Second Amendment ruling. But, you know, I have to wonder if they were ever to try to do a gun confiscation, who would actually go and enforce that?
Good point.
And, you know, that's some of the questions that I have. And, you know, I'm glad that the ruling went the way it did, because that, you know, that solidifies our Second Amendment right, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah,
but
you also got a lot of states that are actually going around those laws immediately, just like Maryland. You know, Tim Pool points that shit out. You got a lot of that actually happening, where the states are just like, fuck you, I'm not doing what you want me to do. I'm going to do what I continue to do.
And that's where I think that we're going to start going down into seeing a civil war. Because we have some states following the Constitution, some states not, some states following the Supreme Court, some not. You know, what happens when you have military generals defying the president? Things could unravel pretty quickly, because the Constitution is only, I've said this before, is only as good if it's being enforced.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Once people stop paying attention to it, stop enforcing it, things are going to unravel really quick.
Of course. Everything does.
And the scariest part of it is really, a lot of people are still going to be blindsided by how the split happens. I've always thought that it's either going to be, you know, the military itself overthrows the government as a coup, or just secedes itself from the government powers. And at the same time, the split is not going to be Republican versus Democrat. It is going to be gun owner versus non-gun owner. And that there's all walks of life toting guns that don't want you to take them. There's left-leaning gun owners too. I was watching a thing on Netflix where it was Jimmy Carr was hosting, one of the UK comedians, and one of the guests on the panel was D.L. Hughley, and they were talking about guns, and he was like, shit, I own guns. And everybody would just kind of stop, and the jaw hit the floor, and he was like, what y'all looking at me like that? I mean, he's like, you live in a country where you can own them, you better buy them.
Right.
So I don't want to change the subject, but I just got a notification that the Guidestones have been taken down completely.
Wow.
Oh, fuck.
Now all evidence is removed.
Ooh. Yeah, that sounds really, really fucking fishy, right?
Yeah.
That quickly, you get a lot of grainy photos and everything like that. Especially what we pointed out, and then it's been removed completely because people have started catching on and researching what the fuck that is.
Right, and it is kind of out in the middle of nowhere where it is.
Oh, fuck, yes, it is.
Yeah, it's not really close to
I'm going to be
lot.
honest. I live in Alabama. I live like on the borderline of Tennessee and Alabama. I did not know that existed until I listened to Tim Pool today. Just like I turned it on and it was some weird shit, and I was just like, what's he got to say? You know, usually it's just like 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes into a video if it's longer. He gets his point across, and then it's rambling just for his feelings and things, just for long form content. Okay. Mm-hmm. But in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of his videos, you can get the point and the argument he's trying to make before he just continues on like fucking Ben Shapiro bullshit. Look, I liked him and I hate him because some of the stances he takes, I'm just like, dude, I can't get behind you on that. But he makes
I feel the same way about Ben.
Ben Shapiro, like, he makes some great points, but if he could slow it down a bit, because he goes way too fucking fast. Okay.
Well, that's a lot of the not getting laid till he got married. I think.
Hey, that was a lot of his views. That was that dude's choice. That's what he wanted. He stuck to it. He did it. Respect, dude. I couldn't do it.
And now we all have to be speed readers when we listen to him. You know.
Yeah,
but I think,
he wasn't out chasing ass.
Right. Well, yeah, he was the life of the party, wasn't he? You know. And that's kind of where I draw my line with different people, and it's not just Ben. But if you lack some life experiences, I will hear you out. But also, I've had a lot of life experiences, and I'm not going to let your lack of outweigh my actual reality.
Right. 100%. And all right, I'm going to do it. I don't care. Like, because I wish Abel was here talking to us. I actually do miss him just making fun of me and my wife. But with his standpoint, with his life, with everything that I've seen from, I hate to bring it up, but I'm going to talk about it. With everything that I've seen from the trans community, especially with I know the weird ends, things like that, they rarely ever happen, but they do pop up. We got to see that shit. Okay. The little thing that happened in what was it, Dallas, Texas, with the take your kids or drag your kids to Pride or some shit, something like that. Yeah, I mean that just come on, you've gone way too far when that kind of shit happens. Okay, now kids who are going through puberty, should they be able to? Let's figure some shit out first. Don't push for this damn shit as like they're going into kids' schools now, man. They're going into the fucking schools with this shit, even up the kindergarten fucking level. Stop.
Outside of the no-no zones, you shouldn't be talking to a prepubescent teen about a damn thing,
unless you are their parent or their doctor.
Exactly. I think it's child abuse to do it the other way around. Like it's wrong.
Well, look, I was
actually in a debate last night with a guy, and he was talking about the hormone blockers and things like that. He was perfectly all right with them giving them to kids, and I was, telling him that I had heard. I didn't want to tell him I'd heard on the Joe Rogan podcast, but I told him that I'd heard that the information had kind of reversed a little bit, started in the UK and has started to trickle back over here, the long-term effects of these things. And then maybe we needed to wait till they were 18 years old and through puberty before they actually made the decision. And like, they can't even backtrack to that point. Like, y'all aren't even willing to talk about this anymore. That's how strongly you feel about it.
Right. And it is creating that divide. It's purposely fucking done. So we could look we would talk to each other. Then before COVID happened, 6 feet the fuck, or when COVID happened, you got to stay 6 feet apart. Then there was that argument for 13 foot, but they knew they couldn't get that, so they had to stay 6 feet apart. Like the particles can only travel 5.5 feet or some shit.
I didn't know that they were trying to do that 13 feet.
Oh no, look it up. Yeah, there was an argument for 13 foot It didn't. I don't even think it reached a federal level or anything like that. But there was an argument in
You
a
can
state
do that
for
in the
13
South.
foot.
You ain't doing that in New Jersey. I mean, and honestly, I'm in Elmwood Park now.
Right.
Like, yeah, no, you can't do that up here.
Right. I mean, even in my closest city to me, for the travel and everything, it is. I still think we could take on another 20, 30,000 before something really actually fucking happens. And I hate to say that because it's going to be a target. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah. Okay, fuck it. We're going to talk about it. The southern border. Let's talk about that shit.
Dig in.
Have you guys seen the videos that have been thrown around? I even threw it up on the Voice of the People TikTok. I broke it down into four parts of Savannah Hernandez doing a little bit of reporting down there.
Yeah.
That was actually suppressed on my page. One of them is even flagged, and it took a day or two to get back. I didn't put anything on these videos other than just like a wording of like, hey, they're telling you this. It got flagged for 2 damn days. This account, which normally, if you've looked through any of the content that I do, normally I don't put my voice or my thoughts on any of it. I just literally just hit duet or something like that if it's somebody's voice, and most of it's screenshots of articles that could be fucking interesting for you to look at. I've been trying to aggregate a voice of people in those just to comment. I normally do not interact with people, and when I do, it's because I'm challenging your thought. And I do it back in the same energy that you give. And what I've actually found is the ones who actually want to have a conversation about something will go beyond, not even in videos or things like that, but just in the chat itself, will go beyond that one little moment. And they'll be like, all right, let me look into what you're doing. You're talking about this. Okay, let's roll into this. You know, like, I don't know if you guys have heard about him, but that Millennium Spike Lee dude. Like,
I was on his live last night for about 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he does pretty well as getting to talking to fucking people too. And, you know, that'd be great if
I told him his superpower is knowing when to kind of pause and look at things, and then knowing when to kind of lean in. And he even says it, let's lean into that. Let's take the next step. Let's push it forward.
Right.
That's his power. It really is.
And it is. It is. He talks about things like we're stuck on right now talking about this, and then he's just like, okay, so what about this? That's that kind of, he has that fucking ability to do that. And if he could get into what we're doing right now, he'd make it. I mean, it's not even hard.
I stopped using hashtags in all my videos because I felt like the hashtags is what was causing me to get censored.
Oh,
stopped using hashtags, and I haven't really had any problems except for on Facebook. Facebook, I was getting bonuses from their reels, and they took me out of that program, and they deleted a video I had of Rand Paul questioning Dr. Fauci about the NHL, what is it? The Internal Health Organization, or whatever it is, about their getting royalty payments from pharmaceutical companies.
Oh,
I made a video. I took that video of him questioning Dr. Fauci about that. I made a reel on it, and it's not even me talking. It's Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci, and it got over 100-something thousand views on Facebook. They deleted it and demonetized me.
Yeah. Anything that goes against the system, bro.
Nope.
But I do think that a lot of the live conversations may be, and this is just my opinion, that it may be a lot of the pushback that TikTok is getting, because if you go into a lot of these lives, you can really get into. I mean, there's a lot of yelling and screaming in some of them, but there's others that actually they're level-headed people on all sides sitting here having a discussion, like grown adults.
Right.
And I think that scares a lot of people. That the powers that be, it does. They don't want us talking like that. That breeds unity. That doesn't, they can't divide and conquer that way. When you got like I said, I was talking to a communist and a Republican, and then someone who's a little bit more right leaning than I am, and we're all sitting there talking, and I'm like, it took a while before the communists actually came out and said, "Oh yeah, by the way." And it was like, whoa, you could have heard a pin drop in the live. Are you serious? And we all kind of, in the guy conducting the live, I can't remember his name. It was RC something or other. But he was saying, he's like, okay, so I have to admit, from what I have always known of communists, this, that, and the other, I don't feel that you personally are trying to destroy this country. And I just sat there and thought, I was like, that, he's right. And that's a huge step around just talking to people. We had no idea what anybody was really doing, except for what you were saying, and it kind of led people to believe how you felt
Right.
on the aisle. And she was obviously left. And it was like, once the conversation really turned into more socialist ideas, that's when she came out with it. It's like, wow, okay. But they don't like that.
No, because normal people, when they do this shit, like most people, they're always trying to debate. They never want to have a conversation. And that's the problem with that shit. They're always trying to debate. And instead of just being like, okay, look, here's the thing, here's where I'm finding this, you just go on to continue with your you never move past that point. We can't have a conversation until you're ready to admit, okay, maybe I don't know that. Stop arguing at that fucking point and just being like, okay, you got one, let me go get one. You got to search for what the fuck you're talking about. You got to look that shit up. You got to make an actual argument against it. Once you do that, we can go past that. And it's not about insulting. It's not about just throwing jabs at people. It's just like questions like this, talks like this. That's what the platform is supposed to be. But it's turned disgusting.
And every time I try to push the critical thinking, because I will make videos, I will say things in a live. I don't necessarily think this, but I'm wanting to push you past where you are so I can come back. It's almost like a flea market sale. Like I don't need to sell this to you for $700, but you only want to pay $2. I really need about $4 for it.
Right.
So and I use the conversation, and it winds up getting me banned. It winds up getting me in trouble. Because and people will accuse me of all different things, and it's like, I'll let you think what you think, but I'm just trying to push the conversation of critical thinking here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I try to do that with the conversation too, but if you won't move on past that, like there are some people I have made. Of course, I'll call out like racism and bullshit on the channel, or why you get banned. I do not just like randomly ban people from that platform at all. I will post for something if you get banned from it to let you know why you got banned and everybody else. So if they start trying to go behind, I show all that shit. And there's only been 2 people that I've actually had to ban. One because he was constantly just pumping out, just like he was like a Red Wing bot kind of situation. Oh shit, I'm on the wrong camera. I was sitting there looking at Root. No, but he's on a he was like a Red Wing bot kind of situation. You just go on, I don't care what you think, I don't care what you think, I don't care what you think. So I'm just like, okay, so whether you're silicone or whether you're flesh and fucking blood, you're a bot. I don't give a shit. Okay. if you won't move past that point in the conversation, and I've seen some pretty good conversations that have actually happened. I've stepped into a few and kind of shut some shit down. But it I have seen some conversations turn into something until the insults start flying.
Right.
And I've tested it out on my page as well with that. Like I'll start having a good conversation with somebody until they throw insults at me, or I've just like insulted somebody, immediately kind of throwing back that same energy that they've given to the platform. Right. I'm just putting voices out there, putting articles out there. Normally I don't put anything into it, my thoughts, unless it's a kind of a duet kind of situation. And that's just not me trying to flame you out or anything. That's just me saying, hey, here's my thoughts. Let's talk. I don't put my face on it. I don't put my voice on it. That's all I do. Right. If you want to talk, if you want to actually sit down and have a conversation, we can do that. That's what I want. This is why we are here, especially for these two. Like, this is the problem. I'm gonna knock at the door behind you, dude. But yeah, this is the problem that we've been having as a society. Like, we don't talk anymore. We don't have these conversations. This is actually great. I'm running on 2 hours here, but
Well, let me ask you this. Would it be better as conservatives, would it be better now to try to almost force ourselves to sit down and kind of and navigate through these situations, these talks with liberals? Would it be better to do that, knowing all the BS you're fixing to get, or would it be more constructive to actually address the Republican Party with some of its craziness and kind of be the proactive one fixing itself? Because I do kind of believe that people will join you if they see you policing yourself. It's kind of like the police. Like if the police started standing up and making it very public and outing a man, this a bad cop, this, that, and the other, I think they would start to get more empathy on their side.
right.
They'd get more backing because it's like, okay, well, they're making an effort to actually fix problems.
You're correct, but one of the things that the left is going to do is use that as propaganda. They're going to say, look, there's to be infighting on the right, infighting inside the Republican Party, infighting. They're going to use these snippets. They're going to use it. They're going to take that and run with it.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done, because it should be.
No, and nobody moves past the headlines.
Right.
But
Well, does one conversation then push the other one, though? You know what I mean? Does one conversation to that point and it get turned and probably just take TikTok? A couple conservatives start going at it on a live. Now other left-wing creators start, spinning it a certain way. Now you're forced to have these conversations almost in a defense, but just an explanation. And if you can find the ones that will actually have the conversation, maybe, one conversation leads to the next.
well,
That's
see,
wishful thinking, though. That sounded real philosophical and shit. That's not me.
no, hold up. I mean, you do have a point. All right, coming from somebody who I was considered left-leaning growing up, and somehow, because of the Overton window shift, which I guess would have happened around the banking collapse in 2008, where everything shifted to the left or something like that. I never have changed my views up until I actually started talking to people with things like this. But somehow I'm right-wing libertarian now. And I used to be damn near smack dab in the fucking middle. And somehow in all of these tests and everything that I would take, I'm right-leaning libertarian. Come on now. Something has changed.
That's because the left has gone so far left. It's like, I mean, back to the abortion issue. So like in certain states, yeah, they'll probably ban abortion, but in states like California, you'll probably see that go on the opposite end. You'll probably see them allow full term abortions or post birth abortions because of how crazy they are. They'll go on the exact extreme end, the other extreme end of that.
Right.
And that's what they do. They can't. It was the governor of Virginia was talking about that. After the woman gives birth, then the mother and the doctor will make the baby comfortable and they'll have a conversation about that. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right. That was disturbing as shit. I mean, it really fucking was. But with that,
that's as far crazy. Like that's, it used to be safe. What was the slogan? Safe, rare, and
safer and legal.
Yeah. So now we're talking about infanticide is on the table now.
Right.
Like that's like a huge shift that I think most people can't get on board with that, but
no,
I don't know.
But there has to be. I'm going to throw it to myself here on the camera. I don't care. There has to be a certain limit. You cannot use it for birth control, which is what literally like 92% of that is elective. I mean, everything that they advocate for, everything that they say makes up 6-7% of the totals. But 92% of it is literally elective. It's just because
right. So they
you don't
give
feel financially responsible or something like that.
They give the example of rape and incest, which make up,
What?
I think it's something as low as like 2%, maybe.
No,
of
rape, I believe.
On that note, though, Republicans don't really address states like Utah and Missouri and Alabama who have actually pushed to give the rapist parental rights. Like, how does that make sense?
You have a point.
Yeah.
I mean,
so do we address that? Because not addressing it is not helping our case.
I want to. That's my state. I'm definitely going to look into that.
In Alabama, actually, I was reading, was one of the states that was pushing to like make it a criminal offense, and I think that's going the opposite direction too far as well. Like you can't charge the woman for kind of using her free will, so to speak. Like she left Alabama, she paid for it to go to, I would just say New Jersey, because Murphy put it in the law where you can come from out of state as a non-resident and come here and have an abortion. Well, if she does that and comes out of her own pocket, why should you charge her for a crime? It's legal in this state.
I don't think that that's what's. Is that being talked about? I haven't heard it.
Yeah, it is definitely part of the conversation. I think it's one of those yard sale things. Like they're setting the bar there. I don't know how close to it they want to stick, but that is where they're setting the bar.
No. Hold up. There's even companies like large companies that will actually pay $4,000 for you to travel and have an abortion. And that is only because it is cheaper on them medically and it's more fucking labor out of you for $4,000 instead of maternity. That's what that shit's about.
But I can't be mad at that and love capitalism at the same time.
It's got to be cool. It's got to be cold back a little bit. No, we can't have that.
For them. That's what they're doing. And if that's not the financially best decision for you, that's on you. They ain't making you take abortion.
Right. I agree with it, but there has to be some kind of limit.
I like making money. No,
there actually has to be some kind of limit with that. That's all I'm trying to get. I don't know what the limit would be because literally, as a man, there are very few women who will actually talk about that kind of things with me. You know, I don't know what that limit would be for me versus for you because we don't have these conversations. You know, so men have to be involved in these conversations now, and I'm sorry, I have to fucking admit it. I was right on that shit. All right. I had always said if Roe versus Wade is overturned, it goes back to the states. It is now everybody's chance to change the laws to suit their needs. Okay. Because men have been shut down. Now we have a voice. It is our vote. I hate to be fucking stingy and I hate to be a dick about it. But we can have a say now. And if you want it, you got to talk to us because
that's it though. But everything will evolve so fast now. We're going to watch both ends of this candle burn at the same time, and people are going to adjust quickly as they see things go on because they'll be able to examine from state to state, and the laws will change faster because it's at the state level. I just hate we missed the bodily autonomy amendment. I really do, because I feel like we missed it altogether at this point. Until Roe versus Wade, that issue comes to some sort of resolute from state to state. I mean, but look how long it's taken to get legalized marijuana everywhere. It's going to be one of those things. It starts here and it kind of spreads like wildfire a little bit, and it might fizzle out and then pop back up a few years later and move. But
hey, look, I'm going to admit it. I'm all for legalizing because
you ain't got to legalize it. Just decriminalize it, damn it.
Well, decriminalizing, yes, but it could be profitable nationwide.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I don't want to have that conversation right now because this is an awesome ass episode, and I don't want to get it pulled down for some bullshit.
Well, I won't puff pass. I'll just keep it to myself then.
But yeah, okay. I love Jersey. So, all right, let's put it this way, guys. Let's go ahead and get final thoughts on kind of things like this. I want to go through. All right, from y'all's thought process. Congress was at 12 and moved down to 7. What you got to say about that? Final thoughts.
I think it's justified. I'm not surprised. Congress, I think, is useless at this point.
With all the bullshit they've been pulling, especially with AOC and everybody else that they've been propping up. Even like I like what Jim Jordan says, but some of his shit's shady as fuck. You know,
there's a couple. There's a couple good people in there, but overall, they're. Listen, the problem with the House, shit. At least, the problem with the House is that there's an election every 2 years, so they're constantly trying to get reelected. And that's the problem.
Yeah. There has to be term limits for all that shit. Like, if you're constantly trying to get reelected every 2 years, that means you got a year of doing something and a year of campaigning.
Right.
Whereas, what is it? Congress sits in there for 6, I think. Right?
It's the Senate 6, yeah.
Senate. Okay, yeah.
But on the other hand, we need term limits for the bureaucracy, the permanent staff that's there. Like, if you get elected to Congress and you show up on day 1, you have a staff already that was serving the last representative that you took over for, whether it was a Republican or a Democrat.
Right.
So, and they typically stay there. There's not a lot of moving around, and if that representative does let you go, you'll get hired somewhere else, inside Washington D.C., somewhere in the Capitol, you'll be rehired. So you have this bureaucracy of permanent people inside the government that elections don't matter to them, and they feel like they're the ones that really run the show. Because it doesn't matter who's elected, because they're still going to be there.
Never thought about that myself. Hold up. Where are you leading with this?
I mean, that's the real deep state, is the bureaucracies, the permanent people working in the government that really run the show according to them. And it doesn't matter who's an elected official is, because they know that whether that person gets elected or not, or reelected again, they're still going to be there. And they have influence over whoever is elected.
Right, because when you get in there brand new, you're going to need them. They know the ropes already.
Exactly.
Right. Case in point.
And if you don't play by the rules, even if you don't play by their rules, then they start leaking. They start turning everybody against you. You're not going to be able to get anything passed. It's going to be a disaster for you.
Right. Right. That's exactly how it fucking works. Unless you're propped up and you do what sounds good to a certain base and you look good on TV.
Right.
I'm not going to go any further with who I think. Okay, we did it. AOC?
Did you ever see her at her committee hearings? She doesn't come up with any of those questions. They were given to her by her staff or by whoever's funding her campaign, and she's given these things to read off. She doesn't come up with any of those questions.
Fuck no. Fuck no. Dude.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes out of her little clique, her little group, a little close to hers. I will say that I don't agree with AOC on damn near anything, but other than that first video she made on the rooftop, I liked that. That was some good work. But
dancing on the rooftop.
Hell yeah. But anyway, other than that, I will say that we kind of do need more people like that, because one thing she did, and she did it, she grassrooted herself right in there. I mean, love her or hate her, she came straight off the street.
Yeah.
She had a movement that got behind her that was so organic you could not stop it.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, her the incumbent didn't even show up to debate her. He just thought that he was going to win it no matter what. He didn't see her as a threat at all.
Exactly.
At her district, I think at her district, she only gets like 17,000 votes to win her district. Like, there's not a lot of people that vote. I think her district has, I forget what the number is, but she wins her elections with only 17,000 votes. And look at the amount of power that she has in Congress right now.
And you know why that is?
Why?
Look at her online presence.
Oh, yeah.
The lives she does on Instagram where she just straight up fucking lies about where she was at the Capitol.
Yeah. But she's taken that Trump approach. Like, she is this new wave of social media influence that all these boomer politicians on either side, they don't know how to deal with that.
No.
They can't combat that. They have no idea what's going on. Then they get in a debate and they look retarded because they ain't got a clue.
Right. Then she could go on Twitter or on Instagram and talk about a senator or another representative that she had words with and completely turn everybody against that person.
Right.
She's got a huge amount of influence. Like, I want to see if she's going to run against Schumer for the Senate.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would honestly take AOC over Schumer just to get
you son of a bitch.
Look, I am in favor of anybody running against a swamp monster. I swear I am. I really am. And
but another swamp monster? Come on.
It comes down to just like Trump. You love him, hate him, and I stood on both sides of that with him the whole time. one thing I respected the hell out of him was just one of the same things I respected about Obama. Tell me what you think.
Right.
Tell me what you mean. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And both of them kind of did that shit. Like, yeah, Trump to one more extent than the other. But when Trump said something, he meant it. Like he would double down on it if need be.
Right.
So I didn't feel that about Obama. I felt like Obama was. I felt like what Obama knew what he was saying was nonsense. I think he was
from his actions.
I don't think he believed anything that he said.
From his actions,
like I said, there's things that you can watch. Like, I mean, you look at Trump. You know what everybody thinks. Okay, well, I'll just throw this out here. Well, okay, wait a minute. Before that, let me say this about Obama before I say this about Trump. Obama, you could actively watch him think about what he said before he said it.
True.
I like that. I like that you're actually thinking about what you're fixing to say before you say it. Now, all politicians lie, and he's one of them. But, you know, there are very many times there he did actually was honest and an earnest person. Now, with Trump, like I said, he would double down on things. It might be wrong, but he definitely told you what he meant. And nobody knew how to combat that at all. And honestly, myself, I think this gets lost a lot with the election that he won. I'm always looking at this like it's you got to pick the lesser of the evils. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at all of it, and I'm watching Trump just run away with the Republican Party, and I'm like, I don't know if that's the way I want to go. And I'm watching the Democrats, and I was like, well, and I watched Bernie get screwed. I agree with Bernie to some things not so much, but watching him get screwed was the reason I voted for Trump. I'm not voting for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of leftists actually forget that right there. And a lot of Trumpers forgot that when he ran again because you were so quick to alienate those people who actually helped you win.
Yep.
Remember when Trump gave out Lindsey Graham's phone number?
Oh, yes. Yes. And the ripple effect through South Carolina of that was it played on local news. Like, so not only was it a national thing, but you saw it 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock on every channel. It's like, oh man, that's gotta suck. You gotta change that. You gotta change that now, Lindsay.
Oh God. Yeah.
But see, I think the Republican Party has gotten to a point too, and both parties do this. Don't get me wrong at all, but both parties do this. The Republican Party has gotten out in front of their base, and they've confused them, or blindsided them, or fixing to blindside them. I think that almost an ideal ticket for most Republicans at this point is some form, fashion Trump DeSantis Trump ticket. Okay. Trump was one of the first politicians to mention red flag laws, stood in front of Congress and said, we needed to raise the age on long rifles to 21. And DeSantis has been enforcing red flag laws in his state for the past 8 years. So now, are you voting in your best interest, or do they have you blindsided?
Great point.
It's kind of like the Obamacare thing. The reason the Republicans could not, after 52 times of repealing it, never replace it, was because it was their idea. It was their plan. Mitt Romney was coming into the race with that thing. Obama didn't even put his name on it. The Republicans tried to bash him with it and kept calling it Obamacare as a slur and an insult, and it stuck.
Right. It did.
And it's
what is it? The Affordable Care Act?
It is Obamacare.
Affordable Care Act, right?
Right. The Affordable Care ACA, and we call it Obamacare because that's what Republicans were trying to slander it as, and that's the only tactic they had because it was their idea to begin with.
And it worked.
I think Obama even calls it Obamacare.
Yeah. I mean, hold up now. Can we start calling it Batacalf care? I mean, that's what Biden calls it, right?
My president has saved us from true international pressure.
I was in a Can't even tell me what America is, man. What?
And that was one of the things that, honestly, when I was looking at Bernie over Trump, kept thinking, like, Bernie is probably our best shot of taking the ACA and turning it into a single payer system, which I think works out better than what we have. I don't think any of it's great, but I do kind of think that might be a better option. Mm-hmm. Instead, we voted Trump in there, and Trump said, "Oh, well, it's going to be now Trump care, this, that," and it's still the ACA.
I don't know why we can't just have a public/private system where if you want to have private insurance, you can, and if you want to be on the state-run plan, you can do that.
We'll see that
you have your public clinics around, and then you have your private ones that you pay for.
Well, it's going to have to all be done in moderation, because if you turn it all over at once, it's going to be such a large influx of patients into the market. We don't have enough doctors and nurses.
No.
Everything is going to be flooded, and it's going to get worse.
Healthcare has been so privatized that if you did that all at once, dude, what would you really come across? How could you pinpoint anything comes down at any point in time? Because somebody fucked up, you know?
But there's a whole bunch of things going on with that too. Because like the doctors that would be working at public clinics aren't going to be getting paid like they are in private practice.
No,
right?
No,
it's going to be kind of like it's going to be kind of like the way our like public defenders and then private law works now. A lot of times you have these attorneys go become private public defenders for a couple of years. I think if you stay at certain states, if you stay there 5 years, then they pay off your student debt, and then they leave and they go open up their private practice. That's what you're going to have with doctors too. I would assume that they would go work in the private clinic and then afterwards go and open up their own practice, because there's not going to be any money in a private in a public system. They'll be getting paid.
In South Carolina, they kind of keep everybody on a roster. That, I mean, if you could be selected, it's kind of like jury duty for a lawyer to be the public defender. Yeah, everybody in that district, you'll get a turn at this thing.
Oh, well, that's like a pool attorney. And so in New Jersey, that's called
what winds up happening is there's so many deals done because nobody wants to actually be there in court. So there's so much behind the scenes that goes on, and they just kind of. And I think a lot of people get neglected in that aspect. Like people that you're not really examining the case, you're just trying to remove the paperwork from your desk.
Right. No, I mean, you have some private, you have some public defenders have 150 cases that they're working on, you know? So there's no way that they could dedicate all the resources to each case, you know? So yeah, it's a messed up situation.
But I mean, it's gone so privatized and such an extortion racket that a small charge will wind up $4,000 fucking dollars, or you get charged with something you really didn't fucking do. You know, I've experienced that myself. I'm not gonna talk about it, but it was a messed up situation altogether that never panned out to be anything at all. But I still had to pay out $4,000 to go through court for that shit. Just because. And I'm not okay with the court systems. I'm really not. You know, the Supreme Court, from some of their rulings and everything, from constitutional wise, I get you. I understand. You have caused an uprising really quickly, socially, that nobody can keep up with at this point in time. Like the leak happened, we got to start talking about it. We understood each other from a certain perspective, and we never moved past that point.
Whatever happened with that leaker? Did we ever find out who leaked that? Because there should have been some type of charges brought against whoever leaked that.
Yes.
Amen.
Look.
Was that done on purpose?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it was.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't. I know it was one of those right wing sources. I wrote it off because it was the only place I could fucking find it. But there was something about God, what was it? Something about some kind of political fucking hit was put out on somebody.
Mitch McConnell.
Was it him?
Kavanaugh?
No.
yeah,
The Kavanaugh thing is fucked up altogether. But yeah, it wasn't that. I forget exactly what it is. I'd have to look that back up again. But there was something really fucked up that happened. Oh, I just covered it fucking yesterday. Now that I'm remembering it, the Crystal Steel thing, or Crystal Williams.
Christopher Steele?
No, Crystal Williams from North Carolina. I found that yesterday, like as I was setting up the show and everything, like a couple hours before I set up the show, and I found that, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I went up and looked at a Project Veritas video that was like literally like 6 days old. So it's been out there, and I was just now coming across it, but it was her talking to an inmate about her political campaign.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I covered that yesterday, and I was just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah. What you got to say about that shit?
She said some crazy stuff. That was like, yeah.
Oh,
Look, I can say from being on the inside, there's not many things you need to talk to them people about at all. I can tell you
She was saying some stuff.
Especially a political campaign.
yes.
She was asking where the dope money was, right?
Right. She was saying, I don't care if the dope men pay me. You can Venmo me that. I don't care. It needs to come from somewhere. We need to literally have people run as the Republican side just because.
She's the same one that said that.
Well, let me drop back and look at this now. Is that the street version of a super PAC?
Yes.
Right?
Pretty much.
So,
From the way she was talking, yes.
Look, I'm not mad at the Kennedys is all I'm saying. So
No, but
don't be mad at the Williams and the Caldwells neither.
no, but come on. Morally, there is a difference.
Hell no, there's not. It's just a class difference. And morally, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Ain't no difference. Ain't no difference in the Bloods and the Mafia, except for a suit and a tie.
Okay. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Like, and if you're getting involved like that, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, to each their own, man. Get your money.
All right.
That's the system we've created now. I'm a firm believer in all of this. Now, I've been playing the hand I was dealt. I didn't make this game up, damn it. Y'all did.
Okay.
Don't be mad because I ain't playing Uno. I'm over here trying to get a roll of flush.
What you got to say about that, man?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but I get what he's saying. He's technically not wrong.
It just sucks that it comes from that area of criminal.
Yeah, but the super PACs, their money's legit. All right, so
we can't even see it though, can we?
I'm pretty sure there's some type of campaign. There's some type of campaign finance, something that I'm sure that like Dinesh D'Souza got locked up for giving too much money to his friend's campaign, right? So I mean, there's got to be a paper trail somewhere. But what she's talking about somebody Venmoing her money, which I guess it's not illegal, but she wants to put that in her campaign like she's funding herself, possibly.
That's how that would come
Or
off, right?
funding herself with drug money because that's the route she took it.
Well, you wouldn't know if
With
it's
an inmate.
drug money.
No, you wouldn't. That's the whole point. Like that wasn't. Let me flip it back to me. That wasn't a whole point of use drug money to do it. It was just like whatever you gotta do.
But I think that one of the other thing with that was I saw somebody making the case that she was sounding racist herself because she was saying that it's just because the way somebody was explaining was that she's making the point that the black community has dope money or drug money. It's basically somebody was making a connection that that's racist.
Oh, I'll quote D.L. Hugo on that too. Sometimes it's racist, and sometimes it's damn fine police work.
Well,
You know, some stereotypes are right because it's true.
yeah. I mean, okay, yeah.
But I look at all of it like, who am I more mad at? Let's say, let's say just for this that it's not hard drugs. It's weed, right? So you got somebody in jail for a lots and lots of weed he's been selling. I would actually trust him on an individual level faster than I would trust somebody like, say, John Abramoff.
I don't even know who that is. Hold up, who's that?
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
Enron.
Oh, he ties back to that bullshit.
Well, John Abramoff was a big lobbyist that was really he had his hands in everything, and pharmaceuticals was one. Enron was one. What was it? Not just pharmaceuticals, but I think it was Abbott Labs, and then Enron. And it's just like if we're going to be talking criminals too, me the criminal, I trust the dope boy more.
Well, I'm going to be honest.
Sidney Powell wrote about that situation with Enron in her book License to Lie, and I think she worked on that case, and it was basically the prosecution either left out exculpatory evidence or just completely fabricated and made up a whole bunch of stuff about what was going on. I don't remember the exact details, but she has a whole thing on there about that. I don't remember exactly how it was. I haven't looked at that in a long time.
Because it goes to the different levels of crime. And I mean, I can make a closer comparison here recently in the media with Maxwell. How little do we know about what actually happened and who was involved?
Nothing.
And why do we know so little?
So I hear a lot of people talking
about dope boy. We would all be able to Google it right now.
So we hear it all the time. Everybody's saying, "Where's the client list?" Right? But they made the client list one person. It was Epstein. I mean, I know that there's more people, but that's who the prosecution made it about.
Right.
So she was helping Epstein. She was trafficking for Epstein, right? But nowhere is in the accusations is that Epstein was giving the girls to anyone else. So that's what they made their whole case around, was her supplying women to Epstein. So we're never going to see any client list, because the client list in all those court documents is one person. That's Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. That's real convenient since he, off himself.
Fuck.
That gets real convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I definitely trust the guy moving packs now a whole lot more.
I don't know.
It's James Comey's. What was it? James Comey's niece or James Comey's daughter was the lead prosecutor of that.
I don't even know. I'm going to be honest.
I don't know if it was his niece or if his daughter. It was definitely a relative of James Comey.
And see, all this happened at the same time of a trial that the biggest talking point was a turd in a bed. And we heard all about Amber Turd. I heard.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. Hold up. That motherfucking shit lasted for what, 6.5 weeks? The Maxwell trial lasted less than 4.
See?
And at the same time period. And you had the Michael Sussman trial going on too.
Right. All of that shit happened all of that time. And I'm sorry, I didn't flip cameras. Do we actually do we know what happened?
No. Absolutely not. We know what we've been told.
Right.
Which isn't much.
What you got to say about that, Travis? What you got? Without going too far into things.
I think it's pretty obvious why we're not.
I want to be safe with this conversation as much as I possibly can, writing lines here.
Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious why. Well, you could just look at that tweet from Nancy Pelosi's daughter.
Which one was that?
Where she said that when Jeffrey Epstein was first arrested, she put out a tweet and said, some of our faves are going to be implicated in this. But it's important to let the facts be the facts and let the chips fall where they should. Justice needs to be served or something like that.
I did not hear anything about that at all.
You hear about that?
No.
No, I heard about that. I've heard that. Actually, I think I remember reading that.
I did not see that come across on anything from me. If y'all can find that again, give it to me. But yeah, it's this has been the weirdest fucking trip I have ever seen as far as the shit that has gone on in our government so hard, so fast. You know, inflation went through the fucking roof. Especially the gas prices. The fucking gas prices, okay, we got a little bit off because of the pandemic, and then all of a sudden it went to damn near over $5 a gallon now? National average?
Yeah,
I found the tweet. It was the exact quote is this Epstein case is horrific and young women deserve justice. It is quite likely that some of our faves are implicated, but we must follow the facts and let the chips fall where they may, whether on Republicans or Democrats. And then she used hashtags, we said enough, hashtag me too. And then has a emoji of something I can't make out what it is.
See, and I think that we can all, if we think hard, can really start putting a handful of names on that list ourselves.
Right. We can definitely do that. I mean,
honestly, and I've said this before too with all of this. I would love to cross-reference between that and the Heidi Fleiss book. I want to know how far that goes. Because I think it goes the same. They're on the same street.
On the what?
Heidi Fleiss.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know
Heidi
either.
Fleiss was the high-end mistress. I think it was the Clinton. Well, it wasn't during. It wasn't. I don't think he was on the list or anything. But he was. It was during his presidency where she got busted and then her little black book came to light.
Oh, I think I did hear about this.
No.
I know her name.
Wasn't that the other dude that was implicated in that had an accident?
The French guy?
Yeah, something like
the
that.
One that ended up. The one that was in the French. He was in a French prison and he ended up suiciding himself too.
Yes,
apparently, allegedly.
Right.
Like,
and the names that were in her book weren't even all that was in her black book. And she was already pointing at, people, Charlie Sheen and Trump and other people. Like, damn.
Yeah.
And back then, nobody thought about it.
Bill Clinton was on that list.
And she even admitted she didn't release her own black book, the full extent of her black book, for fear of being offed. And I'll take it. This is the crazy thing too with the Trump that year. There was a Nevada, however you say it. I think it was a congressman, senator, whatever, that was elected in. That was Heidi Fleiss's husband. Is or what was when he was running Heidi Fleiss's husband. He actually won the election, even though he died 2 weeks prior.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, I think I did hear about that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was her husband, though.
yeah, that was Heidi Fleiss's husband.
Oh God, that's horrible. But I want to make some jokes. I really do, but I don't.
Like I said, if we compare across, I think, man, it's really a shame. And when it comes down to it, like I said, we're only going to know so much. And I now, as a street criminal, trust the street criminal better. I know their language. I know their talk. I know their walk. It's kind of, but 50 Cent said one time that the most savage and ruthless people he ever met wore suits and ties. People that would be nice to your face and stab you right in the back. At least people on the street, when you're a thug, I know you're a thug and I know how to handle you.
That's true. That's true.
Sorry, I was getting a beer just as you ended that. No, but I mean, you got a great point, and I'm going to say this. You know, when I was younger, I used to be hell. Like, I would get in trouble with the law as a way to get away from my fucking family. All right, because my mom was fucked up. My dad was there, but he wasn't. I mean, he was there physically, not emotionally or anything like that. Turns out there's a whole big backstory I didn't know about until after they got divorced. And, I mean, it's a whole fucked up situation for me to come up from something that what I thought was family and then all of a sudden fall the fuck apart while all this Me Too stuff is happening, all of this trans things is happening, all of this Black Lives Matter things is happening. From my standpoint, where I woke up, what the fuck just happened? I mean, honestly, how the fuck did we wind up here?
It's been in the making for a long time.
It really has. It started, the pendulum swing has just gotten greater year after year. It's like I hear, Republicans say all the time, well, the media was never more divisive than they were during Trump's presidency, and I beg to differ. Right. I think that there was a whole scandal about a tan suit that the brown man wore. Like, it just there was so much. Fox, I really think that they didn't kickstart it, but they damn sure kicked it in the ass when Obama was elected, and it started this domino effect that nobody can now stop.
Well, the difference with the thing was with Obama, you had all the major networks were supporting him,
right?
And it was the exact opposite with Trump. So it was like you really only had Fox News that was pushing back on Obama, and it really was just the opinion personalities at nighttime, the prime time, right?
It was Hannity, it was O'Reilly.
Right. And then you had, on the flip side, on CNN, MSNBC, ABC, from morning until nighttime, it was just all Obama praise. Yeah, I remember you had Jim Acosta walking down as Obama's inauguration, and he's almost fainting. He's like, I can't believe that I'm so this close to Obama, the next president. This is such an honor.
I remember that. And, I remember that. They were idolizing that motherfucker.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, Michelle Obama wore this and she wore that and this and that. And then as soon as Trump's inaugurated, I think within hours, there's some type of negative news story going up. And then, Melania, who was an actual model, she never went on the cover of Vogue. She was an actual legit model. She's never on It's never like, it's just complete opposites of the way that they
You're
were
right.
treated compared to the way that Trumps were treated.
And see what turned, like, I voted for Obama the first time, and then with the second, I did the second time as well for a different reason. The second time, I just felt like I said, with Romney, with McCain, I felt like I was voting for Bush again, and I didn't want to do that. And with Romney, I felt it was the same guy essentially. Like I said, we were both pushing the ACA. This is the whole thing. And if change is actually going to happen, let me take the Abe Lincoln approach and not change the horse mid-race. And
I didn't even vote in 2008 or 2012. So
no,
I didn't vote. I didn't vote. I voted for the first time in 2016.
Why?
I never registered to vote.
What up? Selective service. Oh yeah, you were in the military, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where all that came from that. So yeah, but there's selective service. I mean, anybody that's not in the military has to register with selective service for the draft.
Well, I still registered for the draft.
Oh, of course, because you went through the military, you went through everything already.
I had to actually to go into the military. I had to register for the draft.
Right.
That was part of the deal.
But everybody has
every life they let me slide.
Every man has to register with the draft when they register to vote for the first time. Every man.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, that's how you get your voting rights. Or at least it was in my state at that point in time when I registered the first time. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I took a slightly different route. They didn't want me as much.
A couple times I had to go to
goods.
a couple times I went to renew my license. They asked me if I wanted to vote, but I was like, at the time I just said no. But now that I'm thinking about it, now they're starting to give illegals licenses. So now they go to the DMV to get their license, where they don't have to. In New Jersey, you have to show 6 points of ID if you're a citizen, not if you're illegal, I guess. And then they're going to ask them if they want to register to vote.
Well, see, here's the thing, and this is actually fucking weird as shit to see, and kind of great, but scares me all at the same damn time. Does anybody remember that post that was made about? I even put a screenshot on my my TikTok there about 1 million people, 1 million registered voters more that are Republican this registering than were Democrat.
Yes. I just see that, yeah.
And they tried to play it off like that was something slight, like, this is some bullshit. 1 million motherfuckers more?
Yeah, that's not
than the year before. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that at all?
Yeah, and I remember thinking at the same time, it's like, I wonder where all of these voters are. Because if they're buried in the Bible Belt, that didn't make a difference.
Nope. And I'll tell you something.
All those states are red already.
No.
Popular vote does not count.
Well, locally.
Right, locally, yeah, but on a national level, if it's 10 million, if it's 1 million or 10 million, if it's all buried in red states, it don't matter. They're already red.
I don't think it is, though. I don't think it is
too. I think there's
probably
more
mixed throughout the country, but
yeah.
No. Hold up. I think what the whole problem is with this, you were mentioning, I think it was Root was mentioning the fights between conservatives and things like that. With the broad generalization of what we all have always been like led to believe from talking points. Literally, that's what we've been led to believe as far as getting conversations like this rolling, you know, from those kinds of situations, dude. I don't even know what to say other than this has been fucking awesome. But I do have to end this. I mean, we're rolling on 3 hours now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm going to leave with final thoughts as far as conversations we've had. What you got, Travis?
No, Root, you put a lot of things in perspective, you know, a lot of things that he came out with that other side of the coin, which I thought was very informative, and it was definitely a major contributor to, you know, that conversation. And, you know, I appreciate that a lot, and I appreciate you inviting me on, and just happy we got to do it. Hopefully we do it again.
All right, let me ask you a question real quick, though.
Sure.
What the fuck you think happened to the Georgia Guidestones?
The first time or the second time?
Both. I mean, that's kind of it's a messed up situation, dude.
The second time, it looked like that they bulldozed it. So it looks like they just demolished it, ran over with a bulldozer and knocked them over. The first time, I have no idea. Don't know.
I get you. I don't fucking know either. Like, the big rocks fell down fucking perfectly flat. Everything else spread out from behind it. There was no rocks leading away from it. What the fuck hit that? That blast? Unless that was like, I don't know, maybe a fertilizer bomb, but there would be kind of shit everywhere. Would there not? What the fuck was that? I'm sorry, I got a little bit excited. Go ahead. I'm waiting for y'all. No, I'm serious. What do y'all think about that? Final thoughts with that. I'm sorry, I got heated.
Either it's something or it's not. Either it's one of those things. Either it's something or it's not. And when I say it's not, I would say it's a redneck fighting against the New World Order. And if it's not that, which is the not, then it's definitely something.
Okay, look, from somebody from the South, I will admit we are kind of crafty, but to leave no evidence whatsoever, no. Absolutely not. There would be something there to market because, hey, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something big and people are going to know who the hell I am. Right?
Yeah.
That gets into the whole different topic. I'd love to have you both on to talk about the shootings. You want to talk about that, Root?
Go a couple hours on that too.
I mean, we can.
What about you, Travis?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay. All right. Fuck it. We are 2:48 and I had nope. I hit the wrong button. My bad. Hold up. I'm fucking up. I had a great time. This was an awesome conversation.
Yeah, this was great.
I hope this isn't taken down. I really don't. I don't know how far YouTube's gonna say, hey, fuck
you. I think we did a good job at not getting too crazy.
We'll see. One was already taken down.
I like being able to come on here and talk to guys like y'all, because if not, then my mirrored side looks real leftist.
Right. But yeah,
I like that. But no, I like, because trying to stay in the middle. That's why I bounce from conservative to liberal lives and everything else. I just want to keep sharpening my blade on both sides so I can find the point.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's what we're all really trying to do, the ones that lie in the middle. But yeah, I appreciate the hell out of you guys. This has been awesome. All right.
Yeah, really has.
Travis, where can everybody find you?
Flip the Script podcast on YouTube. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. Flip the Script podcast. On IG and TikTok, there's underscores between each word. YouTube is just Flip the Script podcast. Same thing for Facebook.
Okay. Root?
At Dr_Root on TikTok. You'll be able to find me all day long, and at Punky Root on TikTok.
All right.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the hell out of you. Both of you. I really do. That was great. I definitely want to have this going again with something else. Like this turned out to be an awesome conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll just leave off with this, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say always, you have a voice, and it's important. Please, sit down. Let's have a talk. Take it easy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see y'all again very, very soon.